Have you wondered why you don't have as much left as you desire at the end of the month? Well, it might be due to your spending personality. Listen to hear about different spending behaviors and how to fix them. Hello, and welcome to the Wealth Minded MD podcast with your money best friends. I am Dr. Brittany Helford.
And I'm Dr. Alicia Taylor.
And of course, we're here to help you build wealth and make good money decisions so you can create the life you desire with more control over your time.
If you've been looking for a financial planner who truly gets you, let me tell you about Bonafide Finance. Ben and his team at Bonafide Finance are like the primary care physicians for your finances. They take the time to understand your goals, meet with you regularly for financial checkups, and build real trust and rapport so your plan grows and adapts as your life changes.
What really sets Ben apart is his expertise. He understands student loans for high-income earners, something most planners overlook. And he's a tax strategist, helping you invest your money in the most tax-efficient way possible. And the best part, Bonafide Finance operates on a flat fee model. So you always know exactly what you're paying. No commissions, no hidden costs, just honest financial guidance.
Ben's approach isn't just about making your money grow, it's about making sure your wealth aligns with your life. So if you're looking for someone who can manage your investments, grow your wealth, file your taxes, and help you with your student loans, there's only one choice: Bonafide Finance.
Book a consultation at bonafidefinance.com/wealthmindedmd or email hello@bonafidefinance.com and tell them we sent you.
All right, Brittany, it is cold in Atlanta, so I can imagine that it is even colder where you are in Boston. What is happening with you up there besides potentially putting on your big coat?
Well, Alicia, let me tell you, today it's like a balmy winter day. It's reminding me of spring. Like we are approaching summer here.
What's the temperature?
42 degrees.
And that's approaching spring? Because I don't know, I have a very different reaction to 42 than clearly you do. You're like, oh my God, it feels lovely. And I'm like, to me, as a Florida girl, 42 is still very not comfortable. But I can imagine that if you are used to 10-degree weather, 40 degrees probably feels amazing.
It feels amazing. It's January. We don't expect that it would be 42 degrees in January. My son was like, wait, mommy, I need my gloves. And I was like, actually, I don't think you're going to need your gloves today because today is feeling like a spring day. And as it's a warm winter day, feeling like spring, what is going on is summer camp planning for me, for Brooke.
In January.
In January. We're planning for the summer in January. And it's a whole ordeal here. Like, I have a presentation at noon, but one summer camps opens up at noon. And so I am literally texting my mom directions. Okay, call this number at 11:30 to confirm that it's the right number, and then set an alarm for 11:50 and 11:58. Type the number in your phone so that you get in right at, like, Alicia, it is a whole thing because these camps cost $650 to about $850 per week.
And this is the one that you're racing to sign her up for. We live very different lives. And, every so often I am reminded of how different our lives are because I could think of a whole host of things that I would want to do with $650 to $800. And that does not include setting 20 alarms to sign up my imaginary child for a summer camp for a week. And now I do not have kids yet. And the more I hear you talk about all the things you do for your two kids, I'm like, can I be that kind of parent? That seems like a very, you're like, oh my God, she has to be in the best summer camp. It's going to cost us a fortune. Well, not you a fortune, but in Leisha budget, it's like per week, girl. Are they feeding them breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the next month? Are they clothing them too?
I know it is astronomical, but this particular camp, this is why I told my mom to set so many alarms because I think it's like $650 for 2 weeks. So I'm getting a discount.
Childcare, the cost is just astronomical. I have two brothers that both have two kids. They do talk about the cost of daycare, and depending on where they live, one lives more out in the burbs, the other one lives more in the city. The one that lives in the city, they pay a lot more for daycare. We're talking almost $2,000 a month. So I guess if you extrapolate that per week, it is like $400 or $500 per week. So I guess that's the equivalent, but man,
it's a lot. She's not going to go to camps the entire summer that are this expensive. So I will feed in the YMCA camp, which is very affordable. It's like $150 per month. So moms, choose the YMCA camp, just the entire summer. Make your life easier. But Brooke likes art. So we're going to put her in the Museum of Fine Arts camp, and that one's a little bit more expensive. And then I want her to also have varied experiences. So there's this STEM camp. The STEM camp costs more than $850, so I'm hesitant on
For
that.
the month?
Girl, for the week. But they're building like cars, and I mean, it looks phenomenal. It looks like she would have a really great hands-on experience and really learn things.
Wait, isn't your daughter 7? She's
She
building a
is.
car. I'm just like, whoa. It's been a minute since I was in elementary school age. I was not building a car. Let me just tell you that. I think I was working on my multiplication table.
I know, I know. I need to just be one of those moms who puts her, but it's a whole spread. It's a whole thing, like with her friends. So I have the moms of her friends, and we have shared spreadsheets so that we can try to coordinate and overlap some of their schedules so that they have a friend as they're switching summer camps every 2 or 3 weeks. It's too much, honestly.
Wow. Coordinating that, the time and the mental energy that it takes just seems like a lot more than I have to give at this point in my life. And I don't have kids. And I'm like, wow, you are on it. Like, man, maybe I need an assistant or something to do all this for me in the future because this seems like a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it is a lot. It is a lot. I did have an assistant. Like I gave her a list of camps and I told her to look up the times and what's available still and the cost. And then some of the camps end at 3 o'clock and I could be working and I don't have my summer schedule. So it's a whole ordeal. It is a mess. And I wish that they would fix the system, but this is how it is. And that's just for one child. So next year I have to do the same thing for KJ. And KJ and Brooke don't like the same things. Like he's not going to want to be at art camp. He's going to want to be at sports camp and robotics camp. So that's all right. It is what it is. It's mom life. It's expensive, but my kids get a lot of joy out of it. And I enjoy witnessing how they are flourishing.
Well, it's one of those things that I'm reminded of is like when you reach a certain level of financial stability, one of the things that many people talk about is using that newfound stability to provide better opportunities for their children. And as I hear you talk about this, I'm reminded of that because I'm like, wow, my parents were not spending that much money per week. I was in the sports camp. It wasn't the YMCA, but I was in a sports camp most of the days in the summer. And I think back fondly on my days in the sports camp. I think back in the day when I was a kid, it was like $70 a week and they fed you lunch. And my dad was like, that sounds great. And I was like, that sounds great. And it probably explains why I love sports to this day. So I guess it had a positive effect on me. But I'm hearing you talk about all of these incredible camps, robotics, building cars, Museum of Fine Arts. Like those are not opportunities that I had growing up. And it does warm my heart to know that you're providing really awesome opportunities for your kids, despite all the stress that you have to go through. I'm like, wow, how awesome. That is great. So I commend you. It sounds
Thank
like
you.
mom of the year over there. Okay.
I don't feel like that all the time. Thank you, Leisha. I appreciate that. I had to say a reminder like, oh, okay, I am a good mom. On some days, I am a great mom, but like we're not going to allow great be the evil of good. So today we just saying we're going to be a good mom today. So. All right. Well, Alicia, thank you. I really appreciate that, honestly, because there are some days where you just like, okay, kids, you're on your own. I'm closing the door. Don't bother me. And as I think about, spending money on camps, you're right. There are different types of camps, different types of experiences that I can foster for my kids. And when we think about our lives and how we spend our money, I think it also comes down to some spending personalities or spending behaviors. So I'm sure you have witnessed this too, because you talk to a lot of people about money. And somehow, once you open the door and you start to listen, then people start to reveal themselves. But what I find is like a lot of times people think that money is all logical, but it's often psychological before it becomes mathematical or logical. And when I hear people talk during coaching sessions, we give a lot of talks. So after the talks, they kind of divulge some of their situation. The things that I hear that drives their behaviors are fear, maybe identity, like they want to keep up with a certain person. People call them the Joneses, emotional spending, and they want to have this sense of belonging. Where do you fall? What do you think about like some of the drivers of various types of spending behaviors?
In general or for myself?
Both.
You're like, actually, that sounds great. You can answer both. So it's so funny. I was doing this church boot camp, ironically enough, and one of the exercises was about finances. And it had you really do like this survey, if you will, to kind of figure out what your money identity was. And one of the ones that resonated the most with me was security, money as security. And because that resonates with me a lot, I tend to save a lot. I tend to invest a lot, and I put those priorities above anything else. And because of that, I probably don't spend, going back to your question, as much as I could on things because I view money as security and I would much rather have a large cushion in the bank, a big investment account, and the freedom to be able to spend my time how I want than necessarily buy a bunch of things. So I don't think that I personally am a big spender. One of the things that I've tried to get better at as I've become more financially stable over the years is giving myself permission to spend. And so what I typically do is save and invest first, give some money away to my church or charity, pay my bills, and then I usually have a certain amount left over and I give myself that freedom to spend it how I want. And sometimes if I don't have anything that I need to buy or want to buy, I will just put some of that money in my vacation fund because I love to travel. And then that makes me happy. Like, okay, I can go on the next trip. I can kind of spend with freedom, if you will. And so that's kind of how I approach spending. Some of the behaviors that I've seen in other people are exactly what you said. Maybe they're spending to keep up with somebody, or more often than not, they are spending to be able to buy something that they've always wanted but previously couldn't afford. Whether that's a car, whether that's a purse, whether that's a watch, whether that's a house or whatever. But sometimes people have felt very deprived in the past and they kind of want to make up for that when they finally get some extra cash, if you will. I'm excited to kind of delve into these different spending personalities. Maybe you're going to teach me something. Maybe I'm going to learn something about myself.
When I have these conversations, I think people feel a little triggered sometimes. So if this triggers you, I am sorry. The goal is awareness and intentionality, not necessarily spending less, because, our podcast is mostly tailored towards healthcare professionals, high income earners. And so a lot of times people don't have a choice to say, oh, I'm not going to do this thing because I don't have enough money, right? It's like, oh, well, I have these options. And then how do I choose those options? And so this is kind of where the spending behaviors or personality comes into. So as you're reflecting on, okay, I've saved, I've invested, I've paid all my bills, and I got this large chunk of money. How do I use that money? Kind of that's where I want you to be thinking as we talk about these different types of spending personalities. Okay. All right. The first one that I have here is the aspirational spender. And you might find actually as you're listening to this that you fall into a couple of spending behaviors or spending personalities, and then you have seasonality to it as well. The aspirational spender is the first one. And so this looks like someone who spends on their future self. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to get the top tier gym membership because I'm going to be in there all day, but you haven't gone to the gym in the past 60 days. This looks like the person who goes to the wellness shop and they buy all of the vitamins. Okay, I need a multivitamin. I need a vitamin D. Oh, I heard that this other vitamin cleanser thing is good, but then you don't take any of them. This looks like the person who wants to learn a new skill, so they buy all of these various courses, but then they never complete the courses. Or someone who's like, you know what, this year I'm going to give myself back to a size 2. So, they go and they purchase all of these size 2 clothes when they know they haven't been a size 2 since they were in middle school. This is the person who buys the thing before they actually change the behavior. And the psychology of it makes sense, right? You get those dopamine hits from the intention and visualizing your future self, like as having this aspirational vision of who you want to be. And so you get this positive identity signaling. But what I see often is like these people continue to spend like that, but then they don't actually change the behavior. So I'm going to stop before we talk about how to kind of fix it. And you can give your 2 cents on what you think about this spending personality.
I think it's so funny because at first I was like, yeah, why wouldn't you get the gym membership? You're going to be in there, new year, new you. And, I think it's like them taking one step forward towards the goal that they've set. Like, okay, I'm going to buy the course because they're telling themselves this year I'm actually going to finish the course. And so part of me is like, isn't that good? Isn't that better than spending on your current self? I can see how maybe if you're not following through on some things, it could be problematic or could eventually turn to waste. But I think that the goal is in the right place, like their heart's in the right place. You know what I mean? But this is funny. I definitely, when you were describing it, I was thinking of a few people who I won't say on the podcast.
Girl, yes. And so that's the thing. The fact that you were thinking about a few people means that it's not just a one time thing. It's not a goal that they're setting in there. That's the first step that they're taking to achieve that goal. It's a lack of follow through, a lack of consistency. And so that's the problem that you will find is that these become habitual. And what it does is it erodes self trust. And it also replaces consistency with spending. They think, okay, well, I have the gym membership. One day I'm going to show up and I'm going to go. But then that gym membership is on a recurrent monthly schedule and you actually never go. And the risk is that they desire to be that person without actually creating a plan to do the thing. So oftentimes I see, we're very busy, we're overcommitted, and it's hard for you to go to the gym if you've never gone to the gym. So instead, it might be better to connect and with someone who can keep you consistent and accountable, right? Instead of getting a gym membership, maybe it's that you find a personal trainer. And before you enroll in that personal trainer, have to say, I haven't done this in a while. I haven't been to the gym in 60 days, 90 days. I haven't really exercised much, but this is a behavior that I want to change and I need your assistance to do that. There are going to be some times when I don't show up. Make me feel guilty or call me in the morning. Whatever it is that you have to do to know that your accountability partner might be supporting you a little bit more in the beginning before you actually get consistent with that new change behavior. Another way to fix this is before you buy the new clothes or before you buy the vitamins, before you buy the courses, you should require yourself to show up for something free. So if there's a course that you want to buy, you want to spend $1,000, $2,000 on a course, there are probably some free courses that you can do and you can complete before you buy the paid thing. Therefore, you put on your schedule, okay, I'm going to complete these free courses first. Every week, I'm going to spend 2 hours for the next month. And once I hit that goal, then I can pay for the course that's more expensive. So you want to invest in systems before aesthetics so that you can create this habit of being more consistent with the behavior before you spend on it.
All right, I like it. So getting an accountability partner, you have this goal, get down to a size 2, maybe setting in smaller milestones before you get down to a size 2. If you're currently, I don't know, a size 10, you say, okay, in the next month or two, I'm going to try to lose X amount of pounds, or I am going to try to get down to maybe a size 8 or something along those lines, so that you're creating different smaller goals that you can hit along the way, so that when you finish all your smaller goals, then you've hit your larger goal. I think sometimes we try to go from 0 to 100 and it just seems very daunting. At first we're motivated, but then it seems like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to get there? And so I think creating those smaller milestones along the way might help us to remain accountable and on the pathway that we set towards that particular goal.
Definitely. All right. So the next one is fear-based spender. And this one resonates with me a little bit because, I grew up in Flint, Michigan, and my mom, she is the queen of discounts. That is part of like my money DNA that I have to continuously rewire. So this looks like buying just because it's on sale. Like this tissue is on sale, but you got a whole case of tissue, toilet paper that you have not used. Like this is not the pandemic, people, right? Like, so wait, you don't have to buy it just because it's on sale. Or when you buy it, you buy 5 because it's on sale. When you think about your behaviors, you're not going to use 5. And so therefore they expire, sometimes before you can actually use the thing, or purchasing just in case. And really the psychology behind this is loss aversion. And studies have shown that they feel a greater pain from missing out than they would from the actual liquidity of having that cash in their bank account or saving the money in this way so that they're not wasting it on things and products that they are not using and don't need. This is the fear-based spender. And sometimes it also is labeled as a scarcity mindset. Alicia, what do you think about this one?
I think it's so true. I think if you grew up in an era where things were unaffordable to you, and you grew up in an era where you constantly, as you mentioned, had to search for a discount, you're kind of ingrained to get things on sale. And because that sales don't last always, you feel like, oh, I need to get this or else I'm going to miss out. I'm going to get this or else when I really do need it, I might pay more money. And so the intention is in the right place. I want to save money, but I think the execution is slightly off because now you're buying things before you need them, or maybe you're buying things you don't need at all. And so I think this one probably takes a little bit of work to break. I've definitely caught myself, especially earlier on, maybe saying, okay, I'm going to get this thing because I might need it and it's on sale and I don't want to miss out on a sale. And now I've sort of gotten to the point in my life where I'm like, I'd rather make sure that I'm not buying things that I don't need. And in my quest to do that, that might mean that when I do need it, I pay a dollar more or a couple dollars more, but that's fine. For me, it's about making sure that I'm not wasting money on things that I don't need. And so even though it is on sale, realizing, hey, this is a marketing tactic and saying to myself, do I really need this right now? Sometimes I'll make myself say, okay, I think I need this thing, but I'm not going to buy it today. I'm going to wait and see how I feel tomorrow.
Yeah, I so appreciate that you said that. It's like, what is the difference between what the cost is going to be and what the money saved is? And what is that trade off? When we think about security, and you mentioned this, like money means security. And I think that that is what it means for a lot of people. But this fear based spending personality is a false sense of security because when I think about what makes me most financial secure is liquidity. Having access to the money that I need when I need it. And if you overspend because stuff is just on sale for a potential need, then you have all of your cash tied up in stuff. And financial security is about cash flow, liquidity, access, not clutter. And what I find is when you buy out of fear because things are on sale and you're stockpiling, then it builds up in your home, it causes clutter. And then eventually you might even get rid of the stuff because you're like, oh, this is just taking up too much space. And it's, well, what did I do here? Why did I spend my money on this? And then I never even used it. So instead, I would say to pause when something is on a discount and you want to buy it and ask yourself, would I buy this if it was full price? So that means like, oh, you actually need the thing. And if that you answer yes, then you just got a discount. Yay. But if the answer is no, then you have to kind of explore, okay, well, am I just buying it because it's a little bit cheaper? Do I actually need it? When do I anticipate that I'm going to use this thing? And instead, you can just redirect that money to your emergency savings. Okay, do I have enough in my emergency savings to protect me if I needed X amount of things? And so that's what I would recommend for those who are fear based spenders and think that, oh, I am saving money in this way. Really challenge yourself before you make that spend. The next one is the convenience spender. All right. So this looks like delivery, premium services, constant upgrades, paying to reduce friction. What do you think about this one, Alicia?
I don't know. As you're talking about these spending personalities, I'm like, I mean, that makes sense to me. If I'm not feeling like going out and getting the food, maybe I do want to order delivery. Now, for me, sometimes I do want to spend on convenience because I realize the value of my time. And I'm like, if this can cut down on my time, then this might be a good use of money. If this can decrease the amount of things that I have to think and finagle and organize, then that might be worth the money. However, I have to constantly say, how much money is this, right? For me, when I order Uber Eats or something, I'm like, okay, a $10 meal just turned into $30. Maybe that's not worth it. I'm gonna just put myself in the car and drive down the street and get it and save 20 bucks. Other times I'm like, I really do want to not have to think about this thing. And so I am going to pay for the convenience. And so I think for me, it's about realizing when I should spend on convenience and when it might be wasteful.
Mm-hmm. And as you are listening, you're like, okay, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like the thing is, it's okay to spend for convenience. It's okay to buy something because it's on sale. It is totally okay to create a goal and enroll in a gym membership if you're going to go. Like, I'm not saying that doing one of these things or spending like this when you need to is the wrong thing. The thing is recognizing patterns and just kind of examining these patterns. So as we talk about the convenience-based spender, I too sometimes don't feel like cooking and I'm like, we got to order in. Or for me, one of the ways that I do this is I use Instacart. I do not go to the grocery store. The only grocery store that I go to is Trader Joe's because they don't deliver. And if they did deliver, I would not go. For many of us, I know that we've gotten delivery services that helps us to save on time. And it's kind of that opportunity cost of what is the trade-off and what is the value of my time versus what is the value of me spending the time doing the thing. Where this gets difficult, I think, and where we start to see this showing up a little bit more, at least for me, is when I'm so tired, I just can't think. Like, I just want to make it easy. And so there's a decision fatigue there, and I have to preserve my energy. Oh, I don't have time for this. I'm just going to order something quick. Let me get a quick pizza. It's very convenient. The problem is solved. Let me solve this issue and move forward. But if you're always at a point of decision fatigue, if you're always at a point of preserving energy on every single thing. Like you have Grubhub, this is a thing. Grubhub, Instacart, like every single thing is on delivery. Then you have to ask yourself, and especially if you're running into cash flow issues or you feel like you don't have enough money to spend on the things that you want to spend on at the end of the month or to go on the trips, vacations, and things of that nature, then you have to ask yourself, what else do I need? Do I need to build in more space so that I actually have capacity to do these things? Because what is the value of that spend? Also, just think about, could there be a system that I could build in to reduce kind of this repeated spending and be a little less impulsive on the convenience spend because I just don't have the time and energy?
Yeah, no, that's good in terms of being a little less impulsive with it and actually stopping and pausing again and saying, is this a good use of my money at this current moment? And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. And just not putting yourself on autopilot so that you're not making any of these decisions and you're not questioning them, because you want to get to the point where you're questioning your decisions, at least some of them, and you're saying, does this still serve me? Do I really need this at this time? So, okay, I like your fixes for my convenience spending. What else is on the docket?
All right. Now, this one is the status based spender. And I think high income earners, we have a challenge of lifestyle creep. There's an external expectation that we drive a certain car, we live in a certain neighborhood, that we show up in a certain way. And this is when you only buy luxury brands or you only do premium travel or you're always getting the upgrades. When you go to a restaurant, you're getting the most expensive thing on the menu every single time. And a lot of times, especially when this is observed behavior, it's driven by these external factors because you're spending for an audience. Also, Alicia, you've talked about this of like the thought of buying the worst home in the best neighborhood, but then sometimes that drives up your behaviors and your spending because you're trying to keep up with your neighbors, right? That social comparison and that identity signaling. So I think that this is something that a lot of physicians might fall into. I know there have been people who have said, well, Dr. Halford, you a whole doctor. You can't get yourself a new iPhone. You can't get yourself a new car. And it's like, yeah, I can, but do I really want to spend my money in that way right now?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Sometimes it can be hard to distinguish. When I think about premium travel, I'm like, yeah, business class is a lot better to fly in than economy. I've tried both and I can tell you business is better. When it comes to luxury brands, sometimes I care about them and sometimes I don't. And I constantly have to ask myself, why am I buying this thing? When I was reading the book, The Five Types of Wealth, which we had done a whole series on, one of the questions that the author mentions that could help me with this issue and that might help the audience with this issue is asking yourself, would I still purchase this thing if I couldn't show it to anyone or tell anyone about it?
Hmm.
And that I think has helped me pause and say, sometimes I say, well, no, I wouldn't. And sometimes I say, well, yeah, I would. And so that really kind of helps me keep myself in check. And am I buying this thing for utility because it's going to improve my life in some tangible way? Or am I buying this thing for status because it's going to signal something to other people? And so again, asking myself, if I couldn't show anyone and if I couldn't tell anyone, would I still do it?
Yeah. For me, I think that sometimes people don't know. Sometimes people might answer, yeah, I still buy this thing just because it has become habitual. And so you're just accustomed to choosing this certain label or this certain brand because that has been your routine. But I wonder if we took those people who might only purchase luxury and we took the label off, right? And we gave them something that had no label, no branding, and said, hey, compare these two. Which one would you purchase? I wonder which one they would choose because I think, it's the psychology of, oh, this is going to be better quality because this is this brand or because I'm paying more, when that's not always the case. That's something that I would challenge people to just explore a little bit more. Always remember that your investments are not as visible, but that's really what's going to give you financial freedom. Like the amount, as you mentioned, like net worth is what's going to really give you financial freedom. So it's a trade off. And you just have to think about, okay, do I have enough money in the bank? Am I financially secure? If the answers to those questions are no, then identify maybe one category that's going to be your luxury spend. So it could be travel for you, Leisha, right? Okay, I'm always going to travel in luxury, but everything else, then you understand that it doesn't add as much value. So you might give and take on those other categories. All right. So the next one that I want to talk about is the emotional based spender. This is a person that's like, oh, girl, I just had some retail therapy. I'm feeling good now. Right. The stress shopper, the one person who like had a bad day at work and they went on a shopping spree. And it's definitely what's characterized as their self care, and their spending is often tied to their mood. So, do your girlfriends talk about retail therapy? Is that a thing that you've heard about or that people talk about in your circle?
I've heard people talk about it. It's interesting because a lot of my friends are in the medical field or in healthcare. And so they tend to have decent incomes. And so I do hear it, but it seems like it's within their budget. Like I don't see any outlandish purchases. Now, obviously, I'm not examining their bank account, but sometimes people want to treat themselves. That's what I hear more often. I'm going to treat myself. I deserve this. I kind of got through this hard time. I'm going to treat myself. For me, I don't necessarily do a bunch of shopping, but I do a lot of eating. I will tell you that. I'm like, we need to go out. We need to go eat. We need to go to a brunch. Let's go to grab dinner. Let's do happy hour. So I'm sort of the emotional eater, which I don't know if that's better or worse. I think it's recognizing a pattern. So for me, it's like, okay, well, why do I want to do this thing? And can I do it in a way that's a little bit more affordable, that doesn't destroy my budget?
Yeah. I mean, on a bad day, when I'm super stressed, I'll say to myself, okay, and it really depends on time. So it could be, oh, I need to go for a run. That's a stress reliever. But if I don't have time for a run, it's like, okay, give me whatever sweet thing there is, a cookie, a Snickers. That's my go to. My kids know Snickers. Like if I'm having a bad day, I'll text my husband, please bring home a Snickers. He knows the type of day it's been, ice cream. So I'm an emotional eater too. I try to give myself those little dopamine hits through my sweets, and then that just kind of pulls me through. So if you're somebody who like, you know what, I need to just go spend retail therapy, for me, it provides a short-term relief, just like my Snickers does. Like once that thing is gone, I'm like, okay, that was good, but give me another one. And there's often not another one, right? You can't eat 5 Snickers. That's bad for you. So we just have to think about what are some better coping mechanisms. What else do we need? And so if you find that this is a behavior for you, I think the first thing is to name the emotion, like, oh, I am really stressed right now, or I've had a really bad day. And then express your need. Oh, I'm really stressed right now. I need to take a nap. I need to go for a run, or I'm feeling very lonely. Sometimes people are just on Instagram and they're scrolling and the ad pops up. Oh, well, let me buy this. I'm feeling very lonely or bored. What do I need? I need companionship. Okay, let me find a girlfriend to call or something like that. Do the thing that you actually need instead of spending the money, because you want to replace the spending with these other non monetary regulations that are going to be more valuable to your overall mental health, wellness, and emotional health than actually spending in the purchase. All right. Now, my last one here is the social based spender. And this is person who's always paying for everyone. They have frequent gifts, group expenses, and their spending is often tied to people pleasing and a sense of belonging. So, Alicia, what do you think about this one?
This is me too. Girl, it's me. You don't have to say it. I admit it. I can be honest and transparent. This is totally me. I don't pay for the meal every time I go out with my girlfriends, but sometimes we'll take turns splitting the bill or picking up the tab. It just depends on what kind of dinner it's been. But I will admit that sometimes when I'm out with friends that I know make significantly less than I do, I just feel like, man, I have it to give. I should probably give it. And I'd like to think that generosity is one of my core values. And so finding ways and opportunities to give to others, to bless other people, is definitely something that I hold dear. And so then I have to ask myself, well, why am I doing this? Am I trying to bless somebody, or am I doing this for some other reason? And then for me, it is saying, okay, how much can I afford to give away this month without harming myself financially? And so I've gotten better with that, of having, for instance, like a Christmas fund where I put money in it. I know I'm going to spend that money on Christmas gifts. I know I'm going to spend it on not only gifts for my siblings or my parents or my nieces and my nephews, but also aunts and cousins and staff at my job and that sort of thing. And so that brings me a lot of joy. That is one of the ways that I get fulfillment out of spending money. Some people want to buy things for themselves. Some people try to spend their money on more experiences. Other people try to pass along money and opportunities to their family or their kids. And not saying that any of those things are bad, but I am one of those people who really likes to spend money in ways that enhance the lives of other people. So I like to give things away, and I have to make sure that I'm not doing a little too much. So yes, this is me, social spender.
Well, Alicia, I really appreciate that you've talked about a couple of the fixes, right? So, the first thing, I think the problem with this is something that you also mentioned, right? If you are with someone who has less money than you, and you're like, oh, well, I have it, make less. Yes, it's generosity, but then generosity also comes with kind of this sense of obligation. that because you have more, you should pay for it. But that person agreed to go out to dinner with you. You didn't put a gun to their head and say, hey, get my seat.
I did not. I did not.
So they should have planned for that as well. That's where it becomes damaging. And I've seen many people give and then they're sacrificing. Then it causes this financial stress. So I love that you are cognizant of that and say, what is the budget that I have to spend on these things for this year or for this month? Because this is something that makes me feel good. But again, I don't want to put myself in a state of financial strain. And I think what it can sometimes do is it can create kind of this sense that your connection is kind of tied to spending for other people. And so you want to make sure that you separate that connection from that cash contribution and recognize that your presence is enough, that you're just not putting yourself in this position where you feel obligated all the time to pay for people. But I love that you've already kind of acknowledged that and set up some systems to fix that. All righty. Well, I'm curious, people, as you are listening to this episode, to let us know which of all of these spending behaviors most resonate with you and if there's any seasonality to it. I find sometimes that people also don't recognize what they're doing. So I would ask a friend, like, hey, listen to this episode, or I listened to this episode about spending personalities, spending behaviors. Which one of these do you think that I am? Because sometimes we can't see ourselves, right? And it might be very revealing to have a conversation with someone who you trust about your own spending habits.
Love it. Okay. Now that you've made me feel guilty, maybe that will continue. I'm not quite sure. What is something fun that you are spending your money on, Brittany?
I purchased a new iPhone.
Oh,
yes.
You took the plunge.
I took it. Yes. Oh my gosh. So I got the new iPhone. And honestly, it was time because the one that I had, although I paid for iCloud 2 terabytes of space, the phone never had space for my app. And everything, which is so frustrating, by the way, runs on a freaking app. So they're like, just download the app. Well, you going to pay my phone bill for more space or buy me a new phone? So it got to be inconvenient because I was running out of space and having to delete stuff often in order to do the things that I wanted to do. But let me tell you this quick story. So I'm trying to transfer my old iPhone to my new iPhone. And my aunt, who recently did hers, said, okay, when you do this process, your phone is not going to work and it's going to take about 2 hours. And I'm like, okay, good. So when I tried to do it at night, it said that I had to choose a different phone number. I was like, no, I don't want to choose a different phone number. So I thought I canceled the transfer. But I did not cancel the transfer. So neither one of my phones had service and I was going to get my hair braided and I didn't know how to get there. I didn't realize this until after I dropped off KJ at daycare. So I went back in the daycare and I said, hey, can you get some directions to this address from here? And I took screenshots of the directions. So I'm trying to do these turn by turn directions without a GPS and girl, I get lost. So then I'm like, oh, okay. So then I see 2 girls and these were Black and Latina women. So I was like, okay, they'll help me. They're together. And I was like, hey, I got 2 phones, but neither one of them works. Can you help to give me some directions here? I called the hair lady and girl, I had to stop 3 times to ask people to help me with directions because the turn by turn and you can't see the streets, like the street signs. I don't know how we ever did this without turn by turn GPS. But I was so grateful when I finally got there to get my hair braided. And I'm like, oh, man, thank you, women who helped me to get here. And Lord Jesus, I need to go back to printing out paper directions because what if technology fails us? What am I going to do? I'll rely on community, but what else? I mean, we've become so handicapped, I think, by technology. All right, that was too long of a fun money, but that was the situation.
Well, I'm glad you got to your hair braiding specialist. Glad you got your phone to work. I too got a new iPhone, but mine transferred pretty easily. They gave me the option of transferring, I think, over the cloud or direct from phone to phone. And I chose phone to phone, so I'm not sure if that helped the transfer get there faster. What new iPhone do you have? There's 4 of them that came
I have
out.
the 17, just the 17 regular. Yeah.
Okay. I got the 17 Pro. So I don't know if it was a different, transfer process or whatever. Question. Did you pay for your phone outright or do you do the whole monthly things now?
I did the monthly thing. I wanted to pay for it outright because my tax accountant said it could be a tax deduction. But then when I did the math of the trade in versus paying it outright and all of that, it honestly didn't save that much money.
Same. And I was also like you, annoyed. I was like, I'll just buy the phone. And they were like, oh, if you do that, then you're going to miss out on hundreds of dollars of discounts. And I was like, now, I love to save some money. I was like, wait, huh? I don't like to have monthly bills. I like to pay for things outright. This just doesn't align with my core values. The guy was like, what? It's the same. And then I think what helped me get over this hump was me thinking, All right, Leisha, these iPhones are not cheap now. They're like $1,000, give or take which one you get. Do you want to spend $1,000 up front, or do you want to spend $1,000 over the next 3 years? If you spent $1,000 over the next 3 years, you only had to pay, I don't know, $30 a month or whatever it is, and you kept that money in a high yield savings account, then technically, Leisha, you're making money by not buying it all outright. So that helped me think about it differently, and that helped me feel better about the fact that I wasn't able to buy it outright. But it had been so long since I purchased an iPhone. The last time I bought an iPhone, I just bought the thing. So I don't know. This speaks to my privilege, I guess, and the fact that it's been a long time and I'm not up with the times. But it seems like we both had the same thoughts. I actually feel better about myself.
Yeah, you just got to do the math of what works for you. I haven't had my own phone plan, so this is the first time. And I think that's what the issue was because I was on my brother's plan. And so he had to call to get all of the things. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got an upgrade and you'll have to let me know what you think about it. So far, I'm like, this thing works the same. You just move some buttons around and made them look different.
Yeah, at least on mine, they got like this, AI feature where you can like press the camera and it'll like take an image of something, do some research on it. I don't know. I was trying to read up on the features. I have had a very busy few weeks. I haven't had time to get all up to date. Maybe I'm not using it to its full capacity, but it seems like for the both of us, we got new phones. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for me. And hopefully we can both take some better photos now.
Right.
All right, everyone. Hopefully you got something out of that and learned about the different spending personalities. Shoot us an email. Let us know which one resonated with you the most. And as a reminder, if you are someone who is looking for help with your money, with investing, with taxes, with student loans, our partner for this episode is Ben Martnick with Bonafide Finance. Him and his company are skilled at helping you and other high income earners with these issues. And so if you are someone who is looking for help, please don't hesitate to reach out to Bonafide Finance.
Hello, everybody. It's me, Brooke. I'm recording a little disclaimer for my mommy, Dr. Brittany Halford, and her friend, Dr. Lisa Taylor. Just so you know, they're not financial advisors, tax professionals, lawyers, or financial planners. Everything you hear is for education and entertainment. It's not strict financial advice, So use your best judgment, chat with a tax professional, and all those other people that you need to talk to. Thanks for tuning in today. Keep cruising on your journey to wealth and wellness. Bye-bye.